We'll see now as we join Ger Canning, who'll set the scene in Thurles.
This final once again brings out the crowds, so enduring has been the ongoing saga of Wexford and Cork. It's the first time a National League decider has gone to a third match, and the first league final to be played on a Saturday. And coming in from the start this week, it's Cork goalkeeper Ger Cunningham. His recall is tough luck on Tom Kingston, but it allows the Bars man the opportunity to win a second league medal. Looking for a first is Wexford's Eamon Cleary, who had been unable to train all week because of a back ailment, but acupuncture treatment has done the trick and he's been passed to play. Cork retained the same set of backs in midfield as that which started on Sunday last. This means that Dennis Walsh continues in place of the injured Pat Hartnett at wing back. Pat Buckley has chosen the centre half forward with Tomás Mulcahy on his left. Paul O'Callaghan gets the number 14 shirt, and that's in place of Kevin Hennessy. Wexford are also unchanged this week. However, there is speculation that Larry O'Gorman will go to centre half forward just as he did for the second half last Sunday. Tomás Dunn is expected to go to left half back alongside his brother Liam, and Tom Dempsey may well start the match in midfield, although as you see him there, he's programmed to start with the number 12 shirt at left half forward. And Willie Barrett from Tipperary poised to start this second replay. And you may just gather there's a fair amount of wind about. Cork won the toss, but they opt to play against the breeze for the opening 30 minutes. And so it's Wexford from right to left, and straight away into the attack. And those changes we were suggesting in the scene set seem to have come through all right. That's Eamon Scallon playing it back there, picked up by George O'Connor. Now Tom Dempsey starting at midfield, firing in the opening salvo, but just wide of Ger Cunningham's goal. And Jimmy Barry Murphy, there is a fairly considerable wind around this afternoon, but conditions otherwise more or less ideal.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day for hurling, Ger, but even since we were talking earlier on out the pitch, the breeze has freshened up quite a lot, and it's favouring Wexford in this first half, so they'll be looking to get a good advantage here. You can see the flags there blowing quite strongly towards the Killinan end, and they'll be looking to get a few points lead here going up to half-time.
So it's George O'Connor under the dropping ball, didn't make any contact. However, it's Pat Buckley instead for Cork, sending the Corkman away on the attack. Barry Egan now, that was a lovely pick-up by Barry Egan, but there was a foul which the referee has noted, and he's back there having a word with the Wexford back. John O'Connor, the player who's being spoken to, and it's going to be a free into Cork.
Yeah, with good ball in by Pat Buckley, and Barry Egan taking on the defender here, and a kind of a loose pull by John O'Connor, and the referee on the spot awards a free. And
it's tapped over the bar nicely by Barry Egan to give his side the lead after just 1 minute and 10 seconds of play.
Yeah, well, that's the kind of thing Wexford wouldn't want to be giving away a stupid freeze, because playing with the wind they need to get ahead, and that's just giving Cork a bit of a leeway that they need.
Damien Fitzhenry, the 19-year-old, pucking out. Wind assist, remember. Tomás Mulcahy falling to the ground, runs on towards Tom Dempsey, doing well there against Cathal Casey in the early exchanges. Nice ball through the centre. Larry O'Gorman drops it down. It's the other Larry Murphy here for Wexford. Wexford looking for an equalising score, and Larry Murphy supplies it. Larry Murphy from Clubone, a newcomer this year to the league side. Clubone, a club which is between Urossen and Enniscorthy, and that's a fine score.
Yeah, great pick up here by Larry Murphy, almost off the ground. In fact, it looked as if it might have been on the ground, but from a difficult angle here, scores a very good point, and lovely start for him. He didn't play great last Sunday, but played well in the first game.
Scallon and Murphy, the two corner forwards, take up their usual portfolios, having been substituted last week. Meanwhile, it's Martin Story making some headway there. Brian Corcoran having a real task in his hands to subdue him this afternoon. Good run across here again by Larry Murphy against John Considine. Murphy opening out the play, and coming into the far post there was Eamon Cleary. Didn't make a contact before the ball beat defender and forward, and so it's yet another puck out. Eamon Cleary, who's had real problems with a back injury and also hamstring over the last number of weeks, and they'll be very pleased to have him in their side. Ger Cunningham, league medal winner back in 1981 against Offaly. John O'Connor out there against Tomás Mulcahy. Martin Story trying to pick up that loose ball. Broken away well. Jim Cashman, who excelled last week. Not a good ball from Jim Cashman. Straight to George O'Connor through the centre. Murphy in there reading. Out comes Ger Cunningham, the goalkeeper. Players loose to give the ball to. One of them was Sean O'Gorman. Pass was a little slack. O'Gorman just making a contact, with the initiative still with Wexford and with Larry Murphy. Murphy this time on his right hand side, again blocked by Sean O'Gorman. This time a much longer clearance out towards Cathal Casey in the centre of the field. Casey again down towards Pat Buckley. In there on Liam Dunn this afternoone. Tomás Mulcahy firing it over the head of Teddy McCarthy down towards the man in the corner, who is Ger Manley. This is McCarthy. Tomás Dunn. Teddy protesting there that he was being held. Tomás Dunn making the clearance towards Larry O'Gorman. O'Gorman and Bolger going for the one ball, missed it between them, and Jim Cashman has it. Now Dennis Walsh. In this fiercely competitive National League final, Walsh down it goes towards Paul O'Callaghan. It'll be interesting to see how he fares this afternoon at full forward. Barry Egan making a good diagonal run, blocked by Sean Flood. Again, it's Ger Manley trying to pick up the pieces. Flood has given it away to Barry Egan there on the 13-metre line. Tight angle, looking for another score, and he's put it wide. Cork's first wide of the match, and so it's 1 point apiece, and we have 4.5 minutes gone in this replay.
Well, chance here for Barry Egan, and actually Teddy McCarthy was screaming for the ball outside him, and Ger Manley as well, and maybe it was a ball they could have pulled back, but he liked to have a shot from a difficult angle, and bad wide there.
So chances at either end in these opening minutes. Jim Cashman again doing well against Jim Bolger, who didn't really impress last Sunday afternoon. Nicely across from Tomás Dunn to the midfielder. Tom Dempsey through the centre. O'Gorman getting away from Dennis Walsh, and he's put it over the bar. That's a fine point by Larry O'Gorman, who got just ahead of Dennis Walsh. It was a lovely ball through the centre, and that's a fine Wexford score.
Well, good play by Wexford in the middle of the field, and Tom Dempsey whips in a good ball, and Larry O'Gorman actually gets away from Dennis Welch quite well. Just there you can see it. This is actually a great chance for a goal for Larry O'Gorman. I think he went for it, but just drove it over the crossbar.
Well, many chances being created, and 3 points so far, 2 of them for the Wexford men. Tomás Mulcahy trying to get some change, this time out of Tom Dempsey. George O'Connor low along the ground. Scallon nicely forward for Martin Storey, seeking to make an early impact. Storey with the shot, again tailing to the right of the goal. Wexford's third wide, 1 wide so far for Cork. And they were considerably profligate last Sunday, in particular in the second half of normal time, where they missed an awful lot of chances. Big attendance this afternoon, looking for a lot of good hurling. I would have to say it's predominantly Wexford, I think. George O'Connor opting for the catch. Good ball forward by Shawnee McCarthy to Barry Egan. Egan, lovely pace against Sean Flood. Opting to kick it, and it's gone in! Yes! Well, Barry Egan is the goal scorer. That'll be worth looking at again. There was probably an argument as to whether or not the ball had crossed over the line, but the referee's recording the goal, and it's 1-1 for Cork, 2 points for Wexford.
Yeah, again, by Pat Buck, working very well at centre half forward. Done. That's for Cork. Done strangled. You see Barry Egan gets the ball well here, takes on Sean Flood, who's catching him for pace, and he likes to kick the ball here, and he buries it into the back of the net. Just a great shot by there. What happened? I think what the incident was over was that one of the Wexford players actually attacked Barry Egan after he had kicked the ball, and the Cork players were annoyed about that.
This time it's going to be a quick talking to by the referee Willie Bard to Jim Cashman. Jim Cashman, the centre half back, having his name taken. So it's Cork by 2 points. 7 minutes into the first half, and Wexford with an injured player needing attention down there. Don't see Jim Bolger on his feet at the moment. It may be Bolger, indeed it is, the centre half forward from Marshallstown, this club which is just outside Enniscorthy. Indeed, when Wexford won the Leinster Junior final last year, they needed a last-second goal from Jim to beat Laois, and the rest, as they say, was history. So Bolger back, left hand still stinging, it seems, from the challenge, and Tom Dempsey ready to take this free for Wexford. The captain from Buffer's Alley, well within his range, and he's put it wide. Well, that was well within the range of Tom Dempsey. That's one they could have done with, because there are still 2 points between the teams.
That's a terrible miss at this level, Gerard, and certainly in the past couple of games Wexford have had their problems with free taking. They've tried 3 or 4 different people now, Scallon, John O'Connor, and now Tom Dempsey. That won't do his confidence any good.
John O'Connor under the dropping ball, broken on by Pat Bucky, who's doing well so far, picking up the free here.
That's certainly a big factor for Cork today, because Pat Buckley, who did very well last Sunday when introduced, has certainly started very well on Liam Dunn, and he's certainly upset Dunn, and that's going to be a huge plus for Cork if he can keep this going.
He's never really been able to claim a regular place on the Cork team, Pat Buckley, but this is a great opportunity for him to really stake his claim for future inclusion as Barry Egan shapes up to the free, and he's found the range magnificently. So that's a goal and 2 points now for Barry Egan, the 2 points coming from place balls. Remember, Cork are playing against the wind in the first half, and they have a 1-goal lead. Up to this in the 2 matches before it, of course, it's been Wexford who've been getting all the goals, 5 goals in 2 matches. That's half blocked down, and Martin Story's on the ground, and the player being called across there is Leonard Ford. Leonard Ford having his name taken, and he's been sent off. That's going to be well worth looking at again. A bemused look on the face of Leonard Ford. Willie Barrett has dismissed the left corner back for clearly a foul on Martin Story.
Well, you can see here just a high tackle by Leonard Ford. I think, fairness Leonard Ford, Martin Story went to take him on. I'd like to see it again, but it seems a fairly harsh decision at this stage of the game to me.
Well, that's a real talking point. If we see it again, we'll just see whether there was a high elbow from Leonard Ford, checking the stride of Martin Story as he was running forward for this.
Well, Tom Dempsey's shot has actually been blocked down there. Martin Story gathers a loose ball, and certainly a high arm tackle by Leonard Ford. Maybe I feel a booking would have been sufficient at this stage of the game. I think it's a fairly harsh sending off personally.
So Cork are down to 14 men. Leonard Ford has been dismissed, and that will mean some restructuring. In the meantime, Tom Dempsey pops the ball over the bar, his first point of the match, and now there's a mere 2 points between the teams.
Well, there was certainly a high tackle. Whether or not it justified sending off is always difficult to state, and in fairness to the referee, he's got to call it as he sees it at the time.
It'll certainly be a talking point, Jimmy, no question about that, and it's so early in the game, just 10 minutes gone when Leonard Ford was dismissed. So now it's a case of what are the Cork men made of, playing against the wind for the opening 30 minutes. Brian Corcoran has gone back into a left corner back position on Scallon. Martin Story being jeered. Liam Dunn is right now the free player in the Wexford team. It'll be interesting to see just how that develops. Jerkosh, meanwhile, knocking it out towards Tom Dempsey again. Wexford looking for a 5th league triumph today. For Cork, it would be league title number 13. That's a great catch in the middle of the field. Cathal Casey having discarded the black helmet. Picked up by Tomas Dunn. On to Tom Dempsey to try and narrow the gap even more. That's a great score from Tom Dempsey from way out the field. A second point for Tom Dempsey, a point the margin, and just in that last piece of play there you began to get the feel that Wexford were using their numerical advantage to great effect.
Well, they certainly used it to great effect there, Gerard. It's often difficult for a team with the extra man to make it work, as we saw in the Football League final recently, where Dublin had a man sent off and Donegal weren't able to utilise it. So it'll be interesting to see whether Wexford can use the extra room and the extra man to get the benefit of it from that.
Fine catch by George O'Connor. On it goes towards Larry O'Gorman. O'Gorman into space. Brian Corcoran going across forward, trying to make it his. Martin Story instead. It was 2 against 1 that time. Story with the shot. He's put it wide. Wide number 5 for Wexford. And it's still Cork 1-2, 5 points. Wexford 4. And once again, if we can just emphasise that the spare man in the Wexford team right now is their centre half back, Liam Dunn. There's nobody picking him up, although Pat Buckley is endeavouring to try and mark 2 players at the one time.
I think, Gerard, what Gerald McCarthy is trying to do there is to get Pat Buckley to stay tight on Liam Dunn rather than picking up the extra player, because they don't want to see Liam Dunn staying too loose.
Cork with just 2 men in their full forward line, Barry Egan and Liam O'Callaghan. George O'Connor trying to link up there with Tomas Dunn, picked up instead by Pat Buckley. Knocked down towards Paul O'Callaghan. Jerkosh, the fullback there, making it his. He's been a good safe fullback in this series so far. Now Tomas Dunn towards Jim Bolger, dropped it. That was just enough to give Jim Cashman a chance to get in and make the clearance. Once again Tomas Dunn for 15-man Wexford. Dennis Walsh tapping it down, but only as far as Larry O'Gorman. Now Cleary. Oh, it's a bad miss by Cleary in the circumstances. Never really looked like hitting the target at all. 6 wides for Wexford against just 1 for Cork. 14 minutes gone in the first half.
Well, Larry O'Gorman here just knocks the ball into Eamon Cleary, and neither a shot nor a cross, and didn't really look as if he had the confidence to go for a shot himself and tried to knock it across, and very poor wide.
Tom Dempsey breaking the ball down. John O'Connor getting in on it, but it's Cathal Casey taking it away. Came off the Wexford man off Tomas Dunn. Now Niall MacDonald. The reduction of Cork to 14 men has meant that MacDonald is able to come out and play as a half-back. Jim Cashman losing it. It's Scallon instead. Eamon Scallon against Brian Corcoran. Drilled across the field. Cleary anxious to make amends for the last one that went west. And it's play continuing. And it comes up. Sir Cunningham. Great shot that time by Scallon. Still Cork under some considerable pressure. Cleary still trying to advance. Another good stop by Ger Cunningham. Story. And Larry O'Gorman powerless to get in the shot. And it's cleared in the end by Sean O'Gorman. In the midst of all that, there was a great shot, I think, by Larry O'Gorman, in fact, which was wonderfully saved by Ger Cunningham. But Wexford have had chances, 2 or 3, just in that last attack.
Well, Ger, quite an extraordinary passage of play there, and an unbelievable misses by Wexford. Although it must be said, tremendous goalkeeping by Ger Cunningham, well, doing what he's so good at, coming off his line and making himself such a big target. And Larry O'Gorman just after cannon the ball into Ger, I think, and he did very well to get it away.
And Tom Dempsey once again presented with the chance to put the sides level, and he's missed another one.
Here's the Eamon Cleary. Eamon Cleary goes through with the ball and passes inside to Larry O'Gorman, and the ball rebounds off Ger, who did very, very well, came off his line brilliantly. And again the ball is breaking around here, and Dennis Welsh knocks it back to Eamon Cleary again, who drills it low across the line. And you see Ger Cunningham fails to catch it, and Martin Storey goes to pulling it, doesn't connect at all, and Sean O'Gorman does well to get it away.
It was a great passage of play, but it didn't produce anything, and Cork just cling on to their 1-point lead. And Liam Dunn, the centre half-back, who effectively can play anywhere because he's the extra man in the team. Lovely cut forward. Don Considine reacting quickly, hooked by Larry O'Gorman. Still Larry O'Gorman persisting. It's Cleary trying to go by Dennis Walsh's cover. Again, a good ball across, stopped this time by Brian Corcoran. It's a real backs-to-the-wall situation for Cork as Eamon Scallon came in, and he was the last to touch it. It's going to be yet another puck out for Ger Cunningham. Well, Brian Corcoran, of course, captaining the side because Erin's own are Cork County champions since last autumn. Indeed, the side they beat in the final was Napiershig, and the man that he was marked by was Leonard Ford, and Leonard dismissed after 10 minutes of this match. George O'Connor breaking it forward, but that's just enough to give Dennis Walsh a chance to come out of defence. Walsh did well. Now Pat Buckley. Players in support. Paul O'Callaghan. O'Callaghan has a man loose inside. Tomas Mulcahy going through. Stopped, however, by John O'Connor. And it's still Tomas Mulcahy trying to get the ball out. Ball retrieved here by Ger Manley. And Manley has put it over the bar. Well, they haven't had a score for some time, but Cork get another point, and Ger Manley is the point scorer. Real direct type of player, good scorer.
Yeah, well, Paul O'Callaghan actually tries to pass the ball inside to Tomas Mulcahy, who can't control it. It's knocked away from Tomas. But luckily for him, Ger Manley gets onto it very quickly, and he's had a great series of matches in this league to pay off, and that's a tremendous point again.
Cork's leading scorer, Ger Manley. Watching now as his defence is again under pressure. Ger Cunningham again, a secure fetch. Sensible clearance towards the wing. It seemed to be a push there by Martin Storey and Cathal Casey. It's going to be a Cork ball in any case.
Well, sure, that's great goalkeeping again by Ger Cunningham. He has done very well. He's under a lot of pressure, obviously, coming back into the team today, and I must say he's done very well. What Cork will need to do at this stage of the game is try and get the ball in as low as they can to their inside forwards and get Ger Manley and Barry Egan running around the Wexford backs and taking them on.
It's going to demand great energy from both teams, Cork in particular at this stage because of their 14 men. Barry Egan playing it nicely down for the aforementioned Ger Manley. Number 6 there is Liam Dunn. Still Ger Manley trying to go in there, and the referee calling out Tomas Dunn to have a word with him for that challenge. and the notebook out once again, and Tomas Dunn becomes the first Wexford man to have his name taken. Cork will have the free in. They also lead at this stage by 2 points.
Well, again, you see, this is a difficult situation for a referee. He has sent off a player for a high tackle already, and that's as high as the original tackle by Leonard Ford. So, you know, I don't think there's anything particularly vicious in those tackles, and, you know, I think the other one is it's certainly as bad as the one that Leonard Ford sent off for.
So perhaps a little bit of inconsistency as Barry Egan takes the shot, puts it over the bar. A goal and 3 points for Barry Egan. I suppose, Jimmy, the case in point was that there was an elbow used earlier on, a high elbow at that by Leonard Ford against the onrushing Martin Story.
Well, the situation is nobody wants to see a player getting sent off, and nobody likes criticising referees, but you must have consistency, and I think one tackle is equally as bad as the other. I don't honestly think either was justifiably sent off offence.
That's a fair point. Shawnee McCarthy has it. Dennis Walsh coming to his assistance again. It's Shawnee just getting it out as far as Larry O'Gorman. Now Martin Story dropping it on the 45-metre line. Story still struggling to get into this match. Teddy McCarthy hand passing it back to Dennis Walsh on his own 45-metre line. 10 minutes to go to half-time. By no means a thriller so far, but many talking points. O'Callaghan going forward. This is a big day for Paul O'Callaghan from Sarsfields. Firing in the shot and just getting it over the top of Damien Fitzhenry's crossbar. So the 14 men, as happens so often in Gaelic football, are doing well.
That's a great score by Paul O'Callaghan. And as I was saying already, Cork need to put himself in Germanly, the ball into them quickly and fast and give them a chance to take on the Wexford defence. That's an excellent score.
The wides are revealing, you know. 8 for Wexford so far, just 1 for Cork. Martin Story sees that ball sail over his head, where the very secure Brian Corcoran is waiting for it. Down towards Barry Egan, has drifted away from his corner forward position because he has to come to the team's assistance out around midfield. Missed by George O'Connor. Shawnee McCarthy in the thick of the action there. Pat Buckley firing it down towards Paul O'Callaghan there against Ger Cush. Well, Cush didn't concede a score against Kevin Hennessy. He just conceded that point there to Paul O'Callaghan. Ball across to Tomas Mulcahy, racing over for it as well as John O'Connor. Mulcahy summing up his options. Playing the ball nicely inside from Manley, near the end line. Oh, another fine shot right across the face of the goal, so dangerously so, but harmlessly in the end, out over the end line and wide.
Well, again, good play by Tomas Mulcahy here, looking up and seeing the option. Actually, the ball is actually deflected into the path of Ger Manley, who's looking up to see is there anybody outside him, but, you know, had a go for a goal, just skimmed it across the goal. Maybe he was the one he could have pulled back. But I must say, Cork playing very well and much more direct hurling. Wexford seems to be obsessed because they have an extra man for trying to pass the ball around.
Well, it was an old failing, and in fairness, in their first 2 matches in this series, they looked a very direct team, but now going back into their old habits again, as Teddy McCarthy has fouled once or twice, and in the end, Cork get the free.
I think, Gerard, the tendency with the extra man is that they possibly feel they're looking up to see where the extra man is all the time, and they're, as you say, getting back into those old habits, which could be their downfall.
Well, they're using the extra man, Jimmy, around their half-back line with Liam Dunn patrolling that area. Should they, in fact, be maybe using the player up in the forward line?
There is something I just want to say, because when you're playing with the wind, they're running around the half-back line. Liam Dunn is picking up nobody, and maybe if they brought the extra man into the forward line to create some confusion in the Cork defence, and that's certainly something they should think about.
Meanwhile, it's going nicely for Cork as they lead by 1-5 to 4 points. That's double scores, of course. Tom Dempsey having the shot from way out the field, and a great point right in the centre of the field. Tom Dempsey tagging on another point. That's a 3rd point by the midfielder, even though he's wearing the number 12. Only one of the Wexford forwards has scored so far, and that's Larry Murphy.
Yeah, well, that's more direct play now, and good pass across here by Tomas Dunn, looking up and seeing the loose man. That's not a bad pass because the guy's in plenty of space and gives Tom Dempsey plenty of time to have a look and scores a first-class point.
There's a lot of time left in this match, still about 8 minutes to go to half-time. A Story knocks it forward. Dennis Walsh drifting back there, doing a match-up there on Larry O'Gorman. Larry trying to link up with the number 15, Larry Murphy. Instead, it's Brian Corcoran throwing 2 men to him, still getting the ball into the middle of the field, but it's picked up by Tom Dempsey for Wexford. Ger Cunningham coming out. Nobody quite knows where the ball has gone. Larry O'Gorman trying to react quickly, and in the end it's Considine who picks it up. Well, that was a dangerous one, because goalkeeper and full-back were coming out, and in the end nobody was quite sure just where the ball was going to end up. It's ended up with Eamon Scallon trying for a point, and he's just put it about a yard wide of the left-hand post. The rain was easing down just a little while ago, seems to have dried up a bit now again. Rain was forecast for the Thurles area for the afternoon. Martin Coleman there in the background, one of the Cork selectors, former goalkeeper of course. 6.5 minutes, I make it to half-time. Shawty McCarthy meeting it well, first time stroke. Tom Dempsey again, doing well in this passage of the game against Cathal Casey. Jim Cashman, pressurised, batting it down to the waiting George O'Connor, slow to react, then getting it across as far as Martin Storey. Storey again needing a bit of assistance. Jim Bolger was available, lobbed in towards the full forward line. And it's a bit disjointed at the moment among the Wexford forwards, not bringing a great deal of width into their play, and it's suiting Cork very nicely indeed as the corner forwards have drifted in. Tom Dempsey, MacDonald is still available for it. He was held by Pat Buckley. Wexford get the free on their own 65-metre line.
Sure, Wexford's problem, as you said there, seems to be they have a lot of loose men around the half-back line and midfield, but they're getting bogged down the forward line. The players are playing all over the place, and they should go back to their original positions and try and get the extra man in the forward line and create an opening for themselves to get a goal.
We're watching Liam Dunn on his own 65-metre line. That's a good ball inside towards Cleary, batted out by O'Gorman and away by Considine. But under the cosh again as Storey fires the shot in and puts it over the bar. That's his first point of the afternoon, and it comes with 5 minutes to go to half-time. 1-5 for Cork, now 6 points for Wexford, so just 2 points between the teams.
Yeah, first time clearance by John Considine, and again Martin Storey, that's more direct play by Wexford, and just give his confidence a boost. He hasn't been playing that well, but that'll be a big confidence booster to him.
Picked up by Tomas Mulcahy, operating at left half forward. Cross towards Barry Egan, knocked away from him well. Liam Dunn firing it forward. Eamon Cleary having some work to do to try and come out and dispossess Sean O'Gorman, who's looked quite secure in this match. Teddy McCarthy going away and now marking the other number 10, Martin Storey. But it's very much a play anywhere situation. Referee's whistle has sounded, and I think he's going to throw the ball in. Bit of a stalemate situation, which Willie Barrett is anxious to break up very quickly. A busy official, he'll be in charge in Ennis tomorrow. There's a pull there on Jim Cashman, so the referee has penalised. Jim was at the receiving end of a particularly heavy knock last Sunday. It's going to be Brian Corcoran who'll come out and take the free. As you were suggesting before the match, Jimmy inadvertently has ended up in the position you were talking about, left corner back.
Yeah, Teddy McCarthy marking Martin Storey, who has seen plenty of the ball but hasn't really finished as well as he can, so Cork will be hoping that Teddy McCarthy can get tight on Martin Storey and keep him pretty quiet.
It's the makings of a great tactical battle as well. Shawty McCarthy doing well at midfield, turning onto his left-hand side. Score of 3 points in the first match, one that equalised the game the last day as Fitzhenry makes a superb save. The 19-year-old Damien Fitzhenry has a lot of confidence. He needed it to come out like that and make a great sweeping clearance. But Teddy McCarthy has it. Now the left half back. Down towards Ger Manley. Controlled it with the stick. Sean Flood getting in to try and make the challenge. Right on the sideline as you see. Blocked down brilliantly. Carried forward there by John O'Connor. Still John O'Connor going forward. Cathal Casey and Barry Egan pressurised. Kicked forward by Tom Dempsey, on by Martin Storey. It's fast and it's furious just now. O'Gorman getting it out into the centre of the field where Jim Cashman's waiting for it. Pressurised by Jim Bolger. Likewise, the number 15, Larry Murphy. And Murphy puts it over for his own second point of the match. And the gap reduced to just a point. Wexford, who had the wind in the first half and the numerical advantage.
Yeah, Jim Cashman gets robbed behind here by... it's actually Larry Murphy jumps onto the ball and spots the ball breaking loose, scores the first class point. Again, more direct play from Wexford, and again, good involvement by Martin Storey.
Yes, and they added another point. It was 1-5 to 8.
Conal McBride from the referees club has just been introduced at the start of this second half, and the player he looks like replacing is Jim Bolger. And straight away he's gone into left half forward. But after that exciting first half, we're looking forward to some more fireworks in the second 30 minutes. And the big talking point, the sending off of Leonard Ford, which appeared quite harsh. And certainly it didn't appear as though there was complete consistency in terms of the laying down of the laws. Still, it's one of those talking points. So Willie Barrett gets ready and starts the second half. This time the wind is supporting the Cork men, but of course level at half-time, 1-5 to 8 points. Wexford, who's finished that half, that first half, masters in so many situations all over the field, now put under pressure straight away with Paul O'Callaghan. Jerkosh just holding back there, trying to hook him. Very good full-back play by Jerkosh.
Good defending there, Ger, with Paul O'Callaghan did very well in the first half, holding up the ball well and scoring a very good point himself. and Cork will be looking to him now to try and keep the pressure on the Wexford defence and make some openings for both Barry Egan and Ger Manley and get them running into space.
So Cathal Casey, who is very much an expert from sideline cuts. This is quite a tight angle, just about 6 metres from the end line. Wind supporting him, sensibly dropping it across the face of the goal. Mulcahy has scored! What a start to the second half for Tomás Mulcahy. His first score in the match, and Cork go back in front. Last Sunday the goals came from Wexford. They're coming from Cork this afternoon.
Well, great sideline ball by Cathal Casey here, not going for the score or anything like that, just knocking in to keep it in play. And tremendous control by Tomás Mulcahy, and one-handed flicks it into the net. Tremendous goal by Tomás.
But some poor defending by Wexford, who will stand indicted for allowing that one in. And Martin Storey now. It's Teddy McCarthy in pursuit, crossing the 45-metre line. Over towards Scallon. It's won by Dennis Walsh there. John Considine. A day for stout hearts and great determination from all, well, as it is right now, 29 players. Tom Dempsey lashing it forward. It's won there by Sean O'Gorman, but it's Wexford pressurising again. This is Conal McBride feeding it back towards Storey. Not allowed time to dally on the ball in any way. Out by Jim Cashman, only as far as Tom Dempsey, half blocked by Cathal Casey. Still McBride, made an impact last Sunday. Now on the Saturday replay, his first chance, and it really has flopped it rather badly. Wexford with 10 wides and all, that the first of the second half. But it's a fair indictment of their forward powers that they've missed all those chances.
And that's a very poor wide. Ger plays totally on his own, and 45 yards out, couldn't put the ball over the bar. As you said already, Ger, poor defending by Wexford for the Cork goal, but we've got to hand it to Tomás Mulcahy. He certainly gets vital goals and goes in there where when the opportunity arises.
Yes, he has the happy knack, no question about that. That's hit backwards by a Wexford defender, Niall MacDonald and Sean Flood trying to tidy up a tricky situation. Eventually getting support there from Tomás Dunn, soloing out of defence. Fouled and exchanging words, and the linesman just indicating where the free should be taken from.
Ger, a very important point for Wexford point of view now as well. After a bad wide there, Ger Cunningham's puck was absolutely phenomenal, landing right inside in the Cork, or in the Wexford full back line almost. So they've got to be careful not to hit any stupid wides because they're going to be punished for it.
It's Niall MacDonald in over the Cork half back line, but Jim Cashman reacting quickly, but only into the path there of Larry O'Gorman. O'Gorman, formerly a half back, looking for a goal chance, hooped, and it's Corcoran actions to put it anywhere, and finally out over the 65. It's gone over the sideline, or over the end line rather. It's gone for a 65, but there was a splendid hook that time as Larry O'Gorman was coming through and bearing down on goal.
Well, here you see Larry O'Gorman's second goal chance to respond his way today, and good defending by Cork. Tries to jink inside Sean O'Gorman, who actually, as he tackles him, manages to hook him and blocks him getting a full shot in. Good defending by Cork.
Liam Dunn, without the blue helmet, low inside, reaches Martin Storey, and that's a good shot from Storey, but just dropping short and fetched by Ger Cunningham. Seemed to be on its way that time, a bit deceptive. Brian Corcoran, good use of the hand pass to Teddy McCarthy. Up towards Tomás Mulcahy, pressurised by John O'Connor. Liam Dunn now stepping into the breach, marked by Pat Buckley all this while, who had a very good first half. Dunn back towards his colleague at right half back, John O'Connor, and a bad ball forward by John O'Connor, giving possession back to Cork. And the referee's attention's been called to the fact that Dr. Con Murphy needs to take a look at the left hand there of Jim Cashman. He was injured earlier on in this match. Great competitive figure at the heart of Cork's half back line. Larry O'Gorman in his challenge this afternoon.
Sure, given the kind of game it is, there's going to be a lot of pressure on the Cork players in the half back line and midfield to keep going. It's going to be a test of their fitness at this stage. If one of the assumptions would punish, that would be an option given the kind of game it is. But I would see Tony coming up there on the middle of the field maybe.
Hasn't played since last year's All-Ireland final, but could well come in and make a telling contribution. Conal McBride trying to make an impact against Dennis Walsh. Walsh trying to hook in. Gorman coming out to try and make a buffer there for Cork's defence, but still under some pressure. Finally it's McBride again. And they need to be hitting over the chances early and often, and over the post it goes, and it's a point for Wexford. Conal McBride, the substitute, the point scorer. It's about the second or third chance he's had since coming on.
Yeah, well, Conor McBride missed an easier chance early on, but does quite well here. Turns from Cashman and difficult angle, scores a good point.
So it's 11 points to 9. 2-5, that's 11 points for Cork. Leading by 2 points, and that's a huge puck out again, wind assisted at Buckley under it. Really in there between half-backs and full-backs, and there's some touching. And Wexford get the free.
Well, again, here you can just see Germanley holding Sean Flood's hurley, and the referee quite correctly spots it from behind and gives the right decision to Wexford.
Liam Dunn will be the taker. 6 minutes into the second half. The referee had to move smartly out of the way as it reached Tom Dempsey. Dempsey outside the 45-metre line, hitting it crisply, and he's put it over the bar. The right flag raised. Tom Dempsey's got 4 points for Wexford, and the margin now a solitary point. What a tie it's turned out to be once again.
Tremendous game again, as you say, and Tomas Dempsey doing very well. And this is more direct play by Wexford. That's what they need to do. Take their shots at goal and get them on target, and bring themselves into the game. That's a very good score by Tom Dempsey, who's playing very well at midfield today.
Well, Cork with 7 scores from 10 chances. Wexford with 10 scores from 23 chances. The statistics from the match so far. As Sean Flood comes out of the full back line with dashing style. Knocks it way downfield, good deep ball. Players running forward for it. One of them here is Eamon Scallon. O'Gorman's anxious for it as well, trying to dodge around inside. Cleary, goal chance. Wexford go back in front again. Eamon Cleary gets Wexford's first goal of the match, and it comes 7.5 minutes into the second half.
Yeah, well, again, good play here by Eamon Scallon, taking on the Cork defence and spotting the loose man inside. Knocks the ball inside to Larry O'Gorman, who again elects to hand pass inside to Eamon Cleary. First time ground shot, great score by Eamon Cleary.
And Cork
are certainly struggling in the middle of the field. I think at this stage they're going to have to try and make some impact there, or else they're going to come back in and take this game.
And here comes Tony O'Sullivan back into the Cork team for the first time since last year's All-Ireland final. The injured Jim Cashman making way. That's a left-hand injury which he picked up earlier on in the game. So it's going to mean changes and switches and alterations, because that goal for Wexford is giving them a huge fillip of confidence. Brian Corcoran is going to centre half back, Dennis Walsh going to left corner back, Cathal Casey drifting back to right half, and Teddy McCarthy back into midfield. Switches all around the field. That comes off the stick there of George O'Connor, back into the centre of the field. Picked up by Liam Dunn once again. Dunn tried to dodge around Shawnee McCarthy. In fact, it's Niall MacDonald. MacDonald waved downfield, stopped by Shawnee O'Gorman. Larry O'Gorman, his namesake for Wexford, pressing forward, but it's still Sean O'Gorman, who'll be celebrating a birthday on Wednesday next, and how he'd like to take a league medal from this afternoon's tie as a start to the birthday celebrations. Casey, for a Cork side who've scored 210, that's 11 points against 110 for Wexford, which is 13 points. Story magnificently taken down. The 15 men then asserting their presence here at Semple Stadium as Dennis Walsh makes the clearance, but the back line under enormous pressure right now for Cork. Certainly the initiative is with Wexford.
Certainly, Wexford are all over the place at the moment and playing much more directional hurling than they were in the first half, and using the full open spaces and stretching the Cork legs at this stage. And they're certainly, if they can drive on now and get a few extra scores, they'll be very, very difficult to beat.
Tony O'Sullivan, incidentally, has been drafted into midfield. He's marking George O'Connor just at the moment. Tom Dempsey is the player who doesn't have anybody to mark just right now. And that's because Cathal Casey has gone to take this sideline cut. Seemed to go off a Wexford stick. I thought Martin Storey was the last one to touch it, but the umpire signalled that it should be a Wexford ball, and the referee going across now to have a quick chat with his linesman, and the linesman instructed to change his decision, and correctly so, because it did indeed go off Martin Storey. So 2-5 for Cork, 11 points, 110 for Wexford, 13. Just over 10 minutes gone in the second half. The prospect of an enthralling last 20 minutes. Don't dare mention extra time. Casey again superbly forward. Paul O'Callaghan reaching up in the air for it, down to Manley. Has a good first touch normally. Hooked that time well by Sean Flood. Ger Cush coming to his aid now, the great full-back. Outside towards Flood again. That was a fine hook there as Manley was ready to strike for goal. And Wexford working their way out of trouble with hand passes. Nicely down to Sean Flood again. That's a great passage of play for Wexford, putting the Corkmen under real pressure. A great catch by Dennis Walsh. What a superb match this is turning out to be, just like the two that went before it. MacDonald now out around his own half-back line, linking up here with Tomás Dunn. Tomás Mulcahy powerless to intervene, and it's Conall McBride against Shawty McCarthy. Hurley seemed high, but it's played across this near side of the field. Larry Murphy trying to get by Dennis Walsh. Good shot again, a good save. Didn't need to bat it away or anything like that. A good, safe, secure catch by Ger Cunningham in a huge knockdown field. It's Niall MacDonald now for the Wexford men. Tom Dempsey outside the 65-metre line. That looks to be on its way, and it's another great point for Wexford. Tom Dempsey's got a 5th point for Wexford. Is this to be the day that they finally bridge 20 barren years in terms of National League success?
Well, Jared, they're playing some marvellous hurling here. Niall MacDonald, brilliant pass out again here to Tom Dempsey, spotting the loose man. And Niall MacDonald has played very well in the second half, and Tom Dempsey playing a fantastic score from a huge distance, and a tremendous score.
It's Wexford by 3 points.
Well, Jared, they're certainly using the extra man to the full advantage now and exploiting Cork's lack of that player, and you know, they're on top of most departments now, particularly in their half-back line, where Liam Dunn is having again an outstanding game.
Well, they're still trying to work out about the use of the extra man. At the moment, it's John O'Connor who's the extra man, and Christy Keogh is just instructing him to get down. And there's a switch in the marking alignment. Ger Manley has now been marked by Sean Flood, just as Manley had drifted out to the half-forward line.
Ger, as you said here a while ago there, how well Sean Flood did there. A tremendous chance for Ger Manley, and brilliant hook, and got the ball away very quickly by Sean Flood.
Liam Dunn putting Cork under pressure again. Cleary missing his shot the first time. Still Eamon Cleary, and Cork's backs regrouping well, but under pressure. Conall McBride, Shawty McCarthy trying to take him further out from goal. McBride back to the sticks as he's hitting that one. In it goes for Larry O'Gorman there with Sean O'Gorman, his namesake. Cleary wanting it to come his way. It's still Sean O'Gorman, and up in the air he was as he struck that one out with great acrobatic abilities. O'Sullivan, that's Tony O'Sullivan, pressurised by Eamon Scallon. Shawty McCarthy coming to his aid. It'll take Tony O'Sullivan just a bit of time to adjust to the pace of this game, which is quite terrific. Ger Manley for the 14 men from Cork against Wexford with the full complement. Pat Buckley going forward. The referee gives him the free, and Christy Keogh not one bit pleased, feeling there was a bit of charging there by Pat Buckley. Well, he engineered the free for Cork, one they need indeed. John O'Connor going back, ruefully shaking the head. He's the extra player in defence, nobody to mark, so he's assisting goalkeeper Damien Fitzhenry. Barry Egan poised. Egan with a goal and 3 points so far. Make that a goal and 4 as he keeps Cork very nicely in touch. And there's still 16 minutes of this league final remaining.
But Ger, again, must say how well Ger Cunningham has played in his return. His first big game for quite a long time, for the full game at least, and he has done very well in that defence. And you know, equally Damien Fitzhenry for Wexford is a very good goalkeeper, and he's been a great star for Wexford throughout this league as well.
Yes, there have been stars on both teams this afternoon, and the game has certainly been the great beneficiary as Egan fires that one in. Fitzhenry doing what Ger Cunningham does at the other end, magnificently knocked away out of defence. Conall McBride was under it, but now it's Tom Dempsey beaten by Barry Egan. Shawty McCarthy getting in the shot there. Shawty does such great Trojan work around midfield, selflessly putting himself about and coming to other players' aid. Barry Egan has played all over the field, has had to do so, and he's a great scorer as well, as he proves once again. He got the last point, and now it's a goal and 5 points out of Cork's tally for Barry Egan. Cork 2-7, Wexford 1-11.
Well, great play here again by both Ger Manley. He spots Barry Egan in loose play and scores an excellent point from a difficult angle. The Cork need both Ger Manley and Barry Egan, because of their great taste, to come into the game and get involved more.
Just 1 point between Damien Fitzhenry. His club Duffrey Rovers have been county football champions for the last 7 years. Great record down in Wexford. Cathal Casey from St Catherine's in Cork. Up again towards Mark Foley, trying to make an impact there against the two men who were marking him. As Ger Cushy got it away. Liam Dunn now under pressure from 2 Corkmen. One of them was Barry Egan, the other Pat Buckley. It's with Buckley. Neat pick up. Sean Flood, the next man to come in and confront him. Gets support from Cathal Casey. Cork backing one another up well, and Casey has driven over the equaliser. Cathal Casey gets the equaliser with under 10 minutes to go. Cork 2-8, Wexford 1-11.
Well, again, this is good play by Pat Buckle, who has tried his heart out and has done it very well today. He was under a lot of pressure here from two Wexford players. Spotted Cathal Casey loose, and great score again by Cathal Casey. And there's been some first-class scores in this game again today. Tremendous point.
And John Fitzgibbon has just been introduced into the Cork forward line. Tomás Mulcahy has been withdrawn. Player who got that goal for Cork earlier on in the match from the sideline ball. So off he goes, Fitzgibbon comes in. It's a completely new look forward line, just two men in the attack, of course, because Leonard Ford was sent off after 10 minutes in what appeared a rather harsh judgment, but Wexford with the full complement against the 14 men from Cork. Match tied up, Tony O'Sullivan. So with Tony O'Sullivan having been introduced, John Fitzgibbon and Mark Foley, Cork have now used their full hand of three substitutes. Dennis Walsh gets better and better. Fouled as he was taking it out there.
Well, that's tremendous defending again by Dennis Walsh, who Dennis isn't the quickest player in the game, but he's certainly not lacking in commitment, and tremendous catch there, and vital free for Cork at this stage.
He's a bit like Conor Coonahan in the football. Wherever the ball seems to be, you'll find Dennis Walsh or Conor Coonahan.
Great wholehearted player, and always gives it everything. And tremendously clean catch, and Hurley pulled out of his hand. But Dennis has certainly acquitted himself well there today.
Well, what a pipe opener to the championship. Great league final once again as Casey hits it. They're all instructing the umpire to flag it wide, and that he does.